fund were recently organized to treat and examine livestock. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're glad to be joined over the phone by Dr. Mohammed Fathi Salim. He's an international agricultural expert. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Sana.
Sir, President Sisi directed to grant an additional import incentive to the price of local wheat. What's the importance of this in increasing wheat crops for the current agricultural season?
This is a wise decision from our patriot President Fattah Sisi to encourage our Egyptian farmers to be encouraged again to cultivate the most strategic crop in Egypt called Egyptian wheat. So I have to appreciate this decision, and I have to mention to you that over the past 2 years after COVID-19 and this Ukraine-Russian war, so there is present many challenges to our national food security. For example, after what's happening in Russia and Ukraine, we have another significant challenge to solve the problem of our Egyptian agriculture system.
Yes.
You know that we are importing from outside Egypt more than 55% of our consuming wheat for our bread, for our Egyptian bread. So this means that Russia, I think that you all know that Russia is one of the world's greatest exporter of wheat, and Ukraine. Together, both countries make the fifth of the worldwide wheat, whom are exporting their production to developing countries like Egypt. Moreover, Ukraine only have the key account of producing also sunflower oil. We are exporting from them. So nowadays, there is a new trend to make a horizontal and vertical increase in our cultivated land by Ministry of Agriculture and many universities who are working in the same direction.
Right.
But when you go after this Ukrainian and the Russian crisis, there is a problem for supply chain and logistic disruptions. And this makes the export of wheat from outside Egypt to Egypt, it will be a sophisticated issue. So we have to solve our self-sufficiency of wheat, how we can achieve this on the land.
Right. Well, sir, amid the wheat crisis during the ongoing Russian-Ukrainian military escalation, to what extent could this impact our wheat reserves?
As I mentioned to you, there is this especially true from some 50 countries that Russia and Ukraine exporting their wheat for them, and Egypt is among those countries. So we have in North Africa, we have a food deficit problem, and Egypt need to fulfill this gap by cultivating more land. But after this crisis, there is really a great challenge for our national food security. I mean, just our counterpart, Ukraine and Russia, that we are exporting wheat from them, and also rapeseed oil, also from Ukraine. Meanwhile, we export also yellow corn and soybean from Ukraine. I mean, this problem, if it takes a long time, it will have a great issue about food security. But we have to mention that we have now a self-sufficient wheat in our silos, in our storage, Egyptian storage silos, more than 7 months. So I think we are one of the most countries who can tolerate this problem. Second, I don't know if you know this information. This conflict have really a great constraint about our agriculture production. and because we are purchasing our wheat and our corn and our soybean from Ukraine, as well as oil, edible oil.
Right. Well, sir, Egypt will receive thousands of tons of wheat from Ukraine and Russia in few days. How do you see the significance of this in light of the current escalation between Russia and Ukraine?
Really, this is a great success for our Ministry of Foreign Affairs to afford this quantity of wheat during these hard days in Middle East and in Russia and Ukraine. Really, we have to appreciate our Minister of Foreign Affairs for afford this quantity during these hard days. Second, I don't know if you have this information also as well. We search about another source of wheat in Romania and France. So our Ministry of Trade afford also more than 160,000 tons of wheat from Romania and from France. This to get a widespread about our importer area who can afford wheat to fulfill this gap in Egypt.
Right. How do you assess the state's policy of horizontal expansion of agriculture lands?
This is a great question. I have to thank you for this. There is a great effort from our national president, Fattah al-Sisi, to expand this cultivated area in two mega projects, one called the Mustaqbal Masr, Egyptian Future, and second one, Gannet Masr. Both this area equal to 1.5 million faddan. This will be cultivated by wheat, barley, sunflower, sugar beet. This to fulfill the gap between our consumption and our production. And I think this is a mega project in the Middle East during the last 50 or 40 years.
Yes.
I think, okay.
Right. Sir, how do you weigh efforts exerted to enhance the fisheries sector through the current projects?
This is also a good question about the fishery sector in Egypt, because we have two mega projects as well, one in Suez Canal and one in Kafr Sheikh called Ghalioun. This will, if work in a scientific way, can fulfill the gap between our fishery protein consumption for more than 100 million people who are suffering from this kind of protein,
yes,
fish protein, and we have a good quality for this because we are producing this by a new approaches that came from Japan, came from Thailand, came from China. I mean, there's also a mega project that we have to thank our military service for this.
Right. Well, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Fathi Salim, international agricultural expert. Thank you very much for your insight. And dear viewers, still with the same topic, the wheat shipments from 3 countries, which have been already contracted earlier, have been loaded and are expected to arrive at the Egyptian ports within the coming days. More details.